What is up, everybody? This is Mixlife 33, and I'm joined by Concrete River, and it is a cool, breezy Sunday, and I hope you're having a nice day, had a good Halloween. You probably hung over from your Halloween party yesterday, and we're here to talk some DIY juice. What up, Concrete?
Oh, not much. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Life is much better than it was a month ago. So happy about that.
So did that last tropical storm dump too much rain? I was seeing that on CNN. There was another one that was supposed to curve over the southern part of Florida.
Yeah, it rained all day yesterday. And then my mom's in a real susceptible spot closer to the beach. And they have these canals, and literally anytime it rains heavy lately after the hurricane, the whole street floods out. And there's even a house that got reflooded like 2 weeks after the hurricane, just from the canals being so full of water that they reflooded someone's house. So yeah, it rains pretty good, and you get, sorry about the craziness, you get a flash flood type of thing. Not flash, but it floods out pretty good. What was crazy was like a month before we had the hurricane, it had rained so much when Hurricane Harvey was going on. There was like a storm system down here that just kept circling the town over and over. It would go out to the water and then come back in again. And the whole street was so flooded that people were canoeing down the street. So that was crazy. I'm shaking like crazy. Let me go ahead. It's like shaking. There's no earthquake, despite the camera shaking like crazy.
It's like, what else do you need to throw at Florida there?
Right. Let me balance all this. Everybody's joining. Hey, everybody. Good to have you guys here. Yeah. Vladimiros Staflidis, I think I'm saying right. He's been killing it on ELR. He's got some top recipes in the rankings. So nice to have you, sir, or lady. But I'm
Shout out to
guessing
Vlad.
To Vlad. Let's look at those.
Yeah, seasonally appropriate name, so I can appreciate that.
Yeah, he's got Goofy's Juice, which is the second most rated recipe right now, which is nice. It's nice to see recipes kind of shuffling through from what last year kind of things were stuck from like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, let me share that up real quick. You guys can see one of his recipes. So that's, we'll call you Vlad for now. Hope that works. So that's Vlad's top recipe, Goofy Juice. So a nice tobacco base with peanut butter, hazelnut, graham cracker with a little nutty background to it. That's a good recipe. Sounds good. So if you guys want to check that out, that's on ELR if you sort by rating. Very cool. Nice to have you in the chat, sir. Let me show the one that I just released up real quick. So I basically just picked up the 3 candies, or the 3 ones that I was interested in from the Silverline collection. And then I've been referencing your videos on it too, because your videos are great for just like a let me see where to start from. So this is called Toucan Samuel. I just released it today. You can really play around with it a little bit, but sticking around 7 for the fruit circles. And the fruit circles taste like fresh Fruit Loops on day 1, for like, if that's even a thing. So it has that like a sharp, it doesn't have a pledge note, but it tastes how like the Fruit Loop would probably taste, I guess, the day it's made. So it's not a dull lemon note. So that kind of comes through a little stronger. But then once it steeps down, it's more like that dull fake fruit that you get from it. I use a little hazelnut in the back, just, not so you really taste much of it, but just it adds a little graininess. sweetener at 1, and then I don't care. I'm not going too much accurate with like milk. I was going more for like if you melted like ice cream, mixed it equally with milk, and then poured that into the cereal. So it's kind of like a sweet vanilla cream. And then the whipped cream's been added to thicken it up a little bit, the cream side. And then Flavora cream, because that just works better, a little faster. And definitely, like I was vaping this for breakfast this morning in lieu of cereal, and it was very nice. So if you want something to do with these silver lines, if you haven't figured out something to do, you can start here. You don't need the hazelnut if you don't want to. I've also thought about maybe doing sugar cookie there at maybe a 1, and then maybe dialing the sweetener down a little bit. But it's a good place to start. And so if you like it, be sure to rate it. And yeah, so for a lighter version, you could leave out the liquid barn, or if you don't have it, I've just been playing with that lately. And you know, they need a little more than normal to get the full effect. But I already used my whole bottle of the vanilla ice cream because I liked it. That's usually a good idea, a good way to tell if I like something. So that is that. And so if you guys want to mix that up, you want to mix up Vladimiro's recipe, you can. And let's see, why don't you tell us about your liquid barn experiences, Concrete?
Well, I'm very new into liquid barn. I ended up having the line sent over to me, which, you know, I'm always game for not having to pay for new stuff to test. I mean, that's awesome. So shout out to Liquid Barn. I've heard good things about their bakery, so I deliberately started in on their fruits because I'm just that kind of guy.
Give me the crappiest thing first.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I could see why people talk about their bakeries, just trying their fruits. Actually, their blue raspberry is pretty legit. I'd put it up there with OS DIY's blue raspberry, but maybe it tastes a little bit less, I guess, blue. But it's really solid, and it doesn't have that slush thing going on, so it might be a little bit more adaptable. I could totally see rocking it like 10% with some sucralose and calling it a blue raspberry, like hard candy Jolly Rancher type juice. It's really, really solid for what it is. The rest of the fruit stuff I've tried so far, I've been kind of iffy on. All of their fruit seems a little bit warm and waxy, which is odd. Like it has that sort of commonality to it. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to going through the stuff that people actually like out of the line, but I figured I'd knock out the weird stuff first.
Yeah, I saw a waffle on all the flavors that looked pretty decent. By Adam Fleming, I think it was. And he did a Captain Crunch that looked all right. The waffle looked good, though. Let me pull this up. Waffleicious. And so he used the Liquid Barn Belgian waffle, and then he put the cinnamon roll behind it. And then he's using kettle corn, but he might like using cap butter a little better. But that's what he said in the text, is that he's kind of using this for like a double purpose, where he's getting a little grain from the kettle corn and then a little butter note. That popcorn might work here too, the Flavora. And the maple syrup, I'm not sure about this one. And then the sweet cream. So this is a good place to start, though. You could build the Belgian waffle with the 4 and then the cinnamon roll to back it up for some just little additions to it. But you might be able to mix these 3 up here into something else. You know, that's something to think about when you guys are mixing recipes is, you know, consider being flexible with the recipe. Like, I know if you're new, that's one thing, and you don't really know much about anything where you're just going to make it from scratch. But after that, if you like a flavor, like say you like Flavora cream, or you like Bavarian cream, or you're going to have your preferences for certain flavors. Don't be afraid to mix up a recipe and substitute it, but just don't bitch about it. Then that's the other part, is like, if you're going to substitute things, you can't go back and say you hate the recipe, because there may have been reasons they use that stuff. Like if I made that without the kettle corn, it might not taste how he wants it to make. But definitely something to consider is being flexible with the recipe, because at the end of the day, if you're using an ingredient you don't like, and then you make the vape and then you don't like it, you could have maybe made it better with some adjustments. But then don't come out and release it like it's yours. That's bullshit. Hey, Emil Nikon's in the chat. What up, Emily? Check out the Noted show every Monday night. 10-ish.
Yeah, they're doing great work over there.
Yeah, I just love the obsessiveness of ID10Ts. Like, this is what we're doing for the next 2 years worth of flavors. Like, he's got that mega list that he has written. That's like, after this week is this. I like that.
Well, I mostly like Dave's hot takes on just about every single flavor. It's fun. It's a good watch.
We should do compilation of like things Dave hates and just have him railing.
Yeah, it tastes like laundry soap that's been lit on fire and rolled down a hill, but like a really long hill, not like a short hill, and then into a trash can, like a green plastic trash can.
Yeah, that's it. Flavora, or what was it? It wasn't Flavora, but it was the cheese. Was that what it was? Cheese he had to vape that he hated?
Yeah.
Oh. He's like, it feels like, it tastes like jockstrap, but one that you marched in an army march for an hour in.
It's just ridiculously descriptive, and it just gets more and more abstract. Eventually, he's just going to taste one flavor, and he's just going to say, "This tastes like sadness."
That was the one.
This tastes like a single cherry blossom floating down from a dying tree.
As the Fig Newton tasted like sadness for him.
1 star all the way, baby.
1 star.
I still need to go ahead and fix that recipe up and throw some tobacco in there. I took it down because that 1 star was bumming me out, but I need to bring it back with a good tobacco to pair it up against, because I think that's probably where that recipe is going to end up.
Yeah, that recipe, it's almost like you created a good tobacco additive. Really, like if you were to start like a RY4 at like a 4, and then like 1% of Hangson tobacco, and then go like just an extra 1% of that Fig Newton mix, it would add like a cool depth underneath it. I think it'd be really cool.
So I did mix something up this week that absolutely nobody should try. So I got that going on.
Charlie work part 2.
No. So it's abstract mixing month for Mixers Club, right? And I thought I'd be a wise ass, and you know how Wayne's always saying that nobody wants a chocolate watermelon. So I decided to try a chocolate watermelon recipe, and I have to say it is by far the weirdest thing that I've ever vaped. So I got that going for me. It's not good, but it's certainly weird. It's 2% Pavora's Red Burley, 1% Hangson's Australian Chocolate, 1.5% Inawera Marzipan, and 4% Perilium Watermelon. And it is a nightmare and an abomination.
I did something awful like that when I first started, and I think it was watermelon RY4. I got to go back all the way back to the beginnings. Let me see if that's real. It was awful though. It really was. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's what I did was watermelon RY4. Yeah, I probably deleted it. Yeah, I definitely deleted it. But it was totally watermelon and RY4 together, trying to see what would happen. And that's bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how the idea popped in my head was, hey, let's try to bridge an artificial watermelon flavor and a chocolate flavor with tobacco. It did not work. No, no, that's pretty bad.
And
So I was kind of impressed with myself.
it's impressive that like the roll-ups are able to do it. Like you know, like somehow they do it with like a blunt wrap where it tastes like watermelon and it doesn't taste like hell. But it doesn't work with vaping, at least not the way I tried it before.
Well,
Yeah.
this is kind of like my first shot. I think you could make a white chocolate watermelon that wouldn't be awful. But I kind of wanted to just like swing for the fences on the watermelon. Like, okay, we're joking about watermelon. Let's do watermelon. Perillum or Perillum, I guess. Watermelon is actually a really solid candy watermelon. So I figured, you know, screw it. Let's just go for like a tart candy watermelon and see what happens. And what happened was pain and suffering.
Yeah, I bet. What are that? Is that Mixer Club that's doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to have non-representational mixing. We have the monthly themes that are optional, but there's a fairly good portion of people who are just jaded enough at this point that you give them a prompt and they'll mix to the prompt. So it's been pretty fun.
Is there anybody that's catching your eye that's mixing that you're like, oh, this guy's good, that is not being heard from, or no one really knows yet?
You know, we just recently switched out and got a little bit of fresh blood up in there. I have I think a recipe by Lime Drive. It's like a lime pecan candy thing that I want to give a shot this month. So that could be promising. Chemical Burn Victim just joined and he's been sending in some tobaccos. But I mean, I know that he gets the occasional shout out, but holy shit, have you had any of DJ Mills's actual like dessert vapes? Because they're phenomenal.
No, I haven't.
Like if you have the stuff for it, definitely mix up golden Oreo pudding. It is so completely strangely accurate. He has a Chico stick recipe too that is like just tastes exactly like Chico sticks. Like I have no idea how he does it. He's like my favorite fat kid vape recipe developer.
I remember seeing that golden Oreo come through.
Yeah, it tastes exactly like golden Oreos. I don't know what kind of like savant stuff he's on, but holy shit.
Yeah, I'll share the link to everybody. He's got some good dessert vapes if you're looking for them. So he's got Campfire Bananas, Mr. Softy, Creamy Vanilla Pudding, Sara Lee Cake, Chica Stick. Even the Soursop Pudding sounds good.
I really like that Soursop pudding. But it was funny because we tried that for Mixers Club. Dave liked it because, you know, he's Dave and, oh, this is a really good pudding base. And I'm just like, yes, throw all the weird Soursop Yakima hop stuff at me. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I like those. What do you? Let's hear your thoughts on Shindo's recipe.
Dude,
for you.
I am so looking forward to trying that. I don't have the Hanks and Blueberry, and I have it ordered from Nicotine River, and it should get here sometime next week. So I'll have better thoughts then. But I actually really appreciate the amount of like work and thought that went into that. I've tried a couple earlier versions of like completely different recipes, and he pivoted until he came up with something that he actually liked quite a bit. And I'm not going to argue with 2.5 or 2.75%, whatever it is, Yakima hops in a recipe. I think hops is like super slept on.
Yeah, it's a cool ingredient. It was part of the first ones that we got from it was like, so in the early days of e-juice makers, Copel and I kind of got not blacklisted, but kind of just sort of ignored well, we were making noise, but we were getting ignored by the admins and stuff. We ended up moving our focus to England and the Vaping Home Mixers crew, and kind of posting stuff there. And in doing so, that's how we caught the eye of chefs and ended up working with them. So it kind of, I'd like to thank all the haters because you got us a one-shot deal. But that's how we ended up over there. And we had won these contests they were doing. It was Ella's Shortbread, which is one of the Vaping Home Mixer girls. And shortbread's really good. It's like a better biscuit. So it's like if you took Innoware biscuit and made it taste better even. And the competition was make a recipe with it. And I did like a raspberry shortbread thing. And won $100 worth of chefs, 100 pounds, which is better than 100 US dollars, by the way. 100 pounds worth of stuff from chefs. And then Christopher found this hidden page that wasn't in the nav menu of all Flavora flavors for like 2 pounds a piece. And at the time, and that would be like $3 maybe for a bottle. And at the time, the only place you could get it was Bull City for like $8 to $10 to 15 to 20, depending on what it was. So I picked up maybe 10 different flavors. And then I think he got like 20 or 30. So it really let us play with Flavora before we knew who Flavora was and they knew who we were. And Yakima hops was one of the first ones that I got. And I just like, it's one of those flavors that if you're wanting to go a little crazier, like off into the cherry blossom type of world, it's a cool one. Lemongrass too. If you've never used lemongrass, it's like a perfect pairing for citrus or lemon vapes, just to add like depth, a little more depth to your mix. If you're trying to do strange stuff, like if you're trying to just make, it's almost easy to make stuff that people like, that they know they're gonna like. It's harder to make weird shit that they try and then love, So if you want to get weird, the Yakima hops, the lemongrass, cherry blossom's like a name brand thing nowadays, where a year ago we were like crazy for using it,
Yeah, y'all were pioneers with that cherry blossom nonsense. I'm still not a huge fan, but it's good to see it getting a little bit more use.
Yeah, there's a recipe that I worked on with. It was really like Copal had it like 85% of the way there, and then I just messed with it a bit, and then we put it out as a dual release, and it's called Lake Placid, and it's a clone of that Placid e-juice, and that tastes so good. Like if you've never tried Placid, this Lake Placid remix we did, and we released it like a month earlier than like Fizz Mustard showed up for like a day and released a Placid remix, but it was all Flavor Apprentice flavors. But this one I would argue is better, and it's
shots fired.
Shots fired in this case, and we came out with it a month earlier. Let me see. But I like Fizz Mustard. If you guys have never listened to Wayne's interview with him, it's got a lot of great information in it. Just hearing how someone thinks, and he's a cool mixer. If you go look at his line, is it Adrian? I can't say it. Like
I think it's
chair.
Artifact.
Artifact. Yeah, that's right. Artifact vapor. Really cool combos. Like if you guys have never just looked, if you want to look at a line that has really cool thought behind it, I'll find it for you guys to see. But he kind of disappeared from the DIY. I apologize for the way the camera's shaking violently. I don't know what's going on today. It's like
the camera's got the DTs.
Yeah, it's hungover from yesterday. That's like rookie night, though. Like if you go out and get wasted on St. Patty's Day or Halloween, you deserve the DUI. Because it's just it's just rookie. Everybody's gets hammered on those nights. Hanukkah, if you're about it, then you really get wasted on Hanukkah and other weird holidays that no one's thinking.
Like if you get wasted on Arbor Day, then I'll respect that.
Yeah, that shows you're true to the game.
All about that drunk life, y'all.
All about it. Yeah, so let's look at one of these. Yeah, so he's got skullflower, is lemon sorbet, macerated berries, and kumquat preserves. Like, that's great. Like, he's just a deep mixer. And he's somebody that I looked at like, damn, this guy is mixing the way I want to mix. Right when I was really just first getting involved with it. I think Widow's Walk's the one that everyone's about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pomegranates, dates, basil, sage with bruised mint leaf, designed for dripping. Like, that's just cool. That's a whole other level of complexity.
There's some Zen Garden somewhere in there, and that's about all I can figure out from that juice.
Yeah. I've never tried it myself, but it's just interesting. Let's see.
Buckland has that really interesting granola note. I was actually kind of hoping that, like, through some strange coincidence, that Flavora granola was going to be the same granola as Buckland. It doesn't seem like it is, but I was hoping.
Yeah, it's totally a ADD segue, but you see Wayne got jacked for his camera and his Nintendo Switch. Did you see that video? Someone like broke in the house and stole 2 things.
Yeah.
You didn't see that?
Yeah, no, I saw it.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's a strange way to get robbed too, is where they just steal like 2 things. Like, that says crackhead to me. Like, they're just looking for $100 to $200 worth of tradable value, and that's as far as they'll go on their robbery, or their B&E.
Well, I've ran in some fairly unsavory circles, and to me that sounds like somebody that you actually know. I've had that happen a couple times with, people I shouldn't have been hanging out with. I'm not saying that's the case whatsoever, but it just brought back like so many weird flashbacks of like specific electronics going missing.
Yeah, or they know you have something. Exactly. Yeah. That sucks though. It's the idea of people in your house would drive you a little crazy, I
still miss that projector I got stolen, man. It used to be the greatest.
What was it for, like, outdoors?
Yeah, we would get all, I don't know, like, I'm white trash by birth. So we would set up the projector in the backyard on the back of the house and watch movies outside. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. There was something else DIY related. I can't think of it now, though. Let's see. How you guys in the chat doing? What up, Graham? Everybody having a good day?
So have you been catching any of the In the Mix podcast after it came back? I kind of like the audio only format, but I'm weird like that.
Well, like, I looked for it for a Thursday or 2, and then I was like, but I use Feedly as an RSS reader, and I'm subscribed to DIY or Die, so all his stuff will come through. And I listened to the one with Smokey, where she talked about how her stuff changes all the time. Like, cookie dough now is not cookie dough then, which is rough if you're like trying to mix. Like,
it makes it completely impossible to actually develop recipes off of it if you can't guarantee any kind of stock.
And what she said that I thought was interesting, she's like, one of my vendors went proprietary, right? And then he's making a juice line, but I just wonder, there's got to be a connection to Flavora, because there's a couple flavors that I have of old Twisted Sketch. They're nearly like 1-for-1 on some of these flavors. So I just wonder, there might be a connection there of the guy that went proprietary and locked off the flavors. And then maybe Flavora was able to catch that project, or that lab as an exclusive lab. But
well, I don't know. I've already gotten in enough trouble talking about this in general. But if you go back and troll some of the Discord, the DIY or Die Discord, especially in the live show chat section, it gets laid out pretty clear what's going on.
Okay.
Just a little inside baseball there.
Search. The search feature of Discord always remembers, folks. When that whole Conrad Vapes thing was going on, I was like, what's this about? And then I was like, let me just search the DIY or Die Discord. And I was like, oh, now I know.
All of the answers are there.
Every answer you need's in the Discord. Let's see.
Yeah, but I don't know. I liked that interview that they did with that Wayne did with Steen too. I actually like a lot of the interview stuff that goes on. I think that ideally I would have liked to see just a little bit more pushback on some of the stuff that Smokey was throwing out there. But I do really appreciate having that kind of change from people screaming at each other online stuff. Like it's a really interesting listen, even if I'm not 100% on board with it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of promise to interviewing people, even if they're juice makers, if like not DIY, but just like industry juice makers. Like if you haven't seen them on Pretty Matt, that's really a good one. And then I think there was an extended version. If you're a member, there used to be audio, so it's somewhere. Yo, Graham, mix up my recipe. Yo, Graham trolls that guy so hard. The Conrad dude, like he'll get him back and forth for like an hour about a recipe. And like, yeah, I'm looking now. Where is it? He's like, yeah, it's right here. Like, where is it? I'm looking now. It's just like having fun with him. That's funny. What can you do?
Just mix it up, bud.
Don't talk shit. Don't talk shit about ML Nikon and her family, and you won't feel the wrath of the whole crew.
Okay, so inquiring minds want to know. So you have your Toll House cookie recipe, correct?
Toll House cookie. That's one of my best recipes. That's a sleeper.
Okay, and the reason it's a sleeper is because I refuse to buy Flavor West cookie butter. Can you explain what the hell cookie butter is doing in there? Because all that I've heard is that it just tastes like burnt hair.
Yeah, it's the cookie butter was the closest thing I ever found to an actual cookie dough. And by itself, it's trash. And then, but as an ingredient in this recipe, it works. I don't know why, but it by itself is not something you want to vape. Like it'd be like trying to eat cookies and you're eating raw eggs and you're like, this doesn't taste like cookies. It's one of those kind of weird recipes. Graham's tried it. He loves that.
No, and that's why it's come up like 3 or 4 times with Graham. He's like, have you tried Ckemist's Toll House cookie recipe? And I'm like, I'm not buying cookie butter. And yeah, he keeps on standing up for it. So there we go.
Find this recipe. I'll show you guys. This recipe took me a month. This was a month with like 10 different versions of awfulness. And then I don't know, it just got slept on. It's one of the most slept on recipes that I think is really good. Yeah, okay, so I have 2 versions of it. Let me go back and see the old version, which was probably like one of the medium The other thing to it though is it's using the old milk chocolate, but you could probably so cookie butter. Yeah, let's see what I ended up with. All right, I'll share this out for you guys to see. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so here's this recipe. What did I say? Give it a week. Yeah, so a week. It's almost like the cookie butter. Cookie butter just tastes like you forgot to put the chocolate chips in the cookie dough. So you've just made like a cookie dough. This is a good recipe.
Have you considered? Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, you're going to say Flavora.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to ask, have you tried to rejigger the chocolate in there?
No, but you could probably go with that mullenberry chocolate that Wayne's digging lately. Chocolate's a bitch, though. Like, I found recipes that, so I made like a chocolate milk that was trash for the 5 weeks. And then on the 6th week, it was a perfect chocolate milk. So chocolate's a long, long steep. I've been messing with the Nakamo cookie bar thing, and it doesn't do the chocolate. So I would say maybe considering Australian chocolate by Hangson, and then the Mullenberry Glamour chocolate could maybe be a decent substitute. But it's good. If you still have these ingredients, I encourage. Okay, and then here's the other thing, right? I talked to this guy. His name's Richard, like Malman maybe, and he lives in Poland. And this dude has years of Inawera experience. Like he's like an encyclopedia of Inawera, where most people don't have the depth on Inawera flavors. This guy has made exclusive Inawera stuff for forever. And this is his trick, which is old chocolate, which you can't really do it anymore, but it was old chocolate at a 2, regular chocolate at a 1, and it makes like the perfect chocolate, a 2-to-1 ratio. But you can't do it anymore, really. But that's that was my chocolate secret that I had when this old formula was out. And then, okay, so the sugar cookie's the base. The cookie butter is used literally for the smoky, burnt kind of notes of it, because if you took the cookie butter out, you're going to have a creamy, chocolatey sugar cookie, right? And you'd be missing that weird, it's like a cookie's almost got like those burnt sugar notes to it. So this one's really good. This tasted just like a cookie. So if you guys want to rework this and try the Glamour chocolate, subbing out this chocolate, or you happen to have all this, give it a try. Yeah, there's all kinds of gold hidden in, because I got like 250 some recipes public, I think, or 100 plus public, and they're good. There's some good stuff hidden in there. Let me see. I did another one that was like, oh, my eggnog. This eggnog is 5-star. Like I've been seeing some eggnogs come up, and I look at them like, oh, that ain't it. The eggnog that I made, the only reason it's public is because it's not a one-shot for chefs anymore. But we sold out of it as a one-shot in England, and it's good. I'll drop the recipe for those. But yeah, the nog's a sleeper. And where the nog came from is I was like trolling old Vaping Underground posts, and I came across Head in the Clouds talking about Vienna cream and how if you use it over 3 to 4%, it emulates eggnog. And before that, I hadn't used it up past a 2. Like I just wouldn't go past 2 on a flavor art generally. And I was like, all right, let me start experimenting. And that was kind of the secret game changer. And they can't, like, okay, so eggnog from Capella used to exist, and it was awful. It had this weird chemical note to it, like they had cooked down eggnog like on a stove somehow and made it into like a added baking soda. Like it was like the crack eggnog in not a good way. Like it just had something awful to it.
Just whip it through the glass.
Capella historically does not know what cinnamon tastes like. Like they just have no clue. Like they must hate cinnamon. Whoever makes the flavors must hate cinnamon. So then when they make cinnamon stuff, they're like, oh, I hate cinnamon. So somebody will like it, but it's not. It's similar to like the same awfulness of horchata by Flavor Apprentice. Like they are not delicious in any way. Liquid Recipes hates us today, but let's see. Google will save the day.
E-Liquid Recipes hates a good chunk of the people a good chunk of the time. Been having some weird connection issues over there when I try to use it.
Yeah, so September last year, I was working on the cookies and milk and the eggnog. And it says Copel's going to release a POG recipe a year ago. That's not true at all. That never happened. I want to try that. I haven't seen that hit any of the DIY sites, but Flavor Apprentice said they had made a POG juice. Now, like, what do you think? What do you think the chances are that the fruit circles and the Swedish fish are just like the contract ending for Looper and whatever the other one is, the Philip Rock Looper, and then the
Carnage.
Carnage. Yeah. What if it's just like those are what they used, and there was like a contract, and the contract's over, and they're like, here you go. Because it's like, it's a solid Fruit Loop, but I could totally see, you know, them just mixing it with one other thing and selling it for $25, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it, but like I wanted to boil it down. Like that was the problem. Like I liked the 27 Fish and the Bears and the Fruit Loops. They were all pretty solid flavors, but like I wanted to just put it on the stove and try to evaporate off some of the water. Like they're just kind of soft flavors, and that's really frustrating because they're pretty solid and they're definitely better than a lot of the competition, but they're just like softer flavors for me.
Yeah, I wanted it to dumb down the Fruit Loops, because when you shake and vape it, the fruits were too sharp, the Fruit Loop was too mellow. So I was like, all right, well, we'll see what happens with time, and it's definitely better.
Yeah, I could see it giving a really good like cereal milk impression too.
Yeah.
Like just because that flavor isn't quite like after it steeps, it isn't like super hard and malty, you know, and so you might be able to get like more of a cereal milk impression out of it without actually trying all that hard. But I'm interested to see what you did with it. Give that a shot. How long would you suggest steeping that one?
All right, so like if you want it, it's almost like how much you want it to thicken up, right? So if you want it to be like Fruit Loop ice cream, you're gonna go after like a week of time. But if you're looking for like it to have the thin milk concept to it, like 48 hours to a week is when you should be vaping this. And then any longer, you're gonna start to get ice creamy Fruit Loops. So it's kind of up to you of what you're okay with. If you don't mind either of those ideas, then just let it steep and vape through it. I also made that mango bear. Did you see that? The mango gummy I made up?
Yeah, that's on my list of stuff to mix up too. I want to see how that works out. I don't know, man. Cap Sweet Mango is not my jam.
Yeah, well, you could do a little more Philippine and then just Subflavora at a good balance. But use the Philippine and the Flavora if you don't want to do sweet. I just wanted it to be fake. So like I was intentionally going for more of the fake mango. The cap's kind of like a mango soda would be made with Capella sweet mango, whereas like a real mango would be more like Inawera, Flavora, and Philippine, like a combo of that. It's good though.
So we did have a question from the chat that I think is interesting. Cincinnati King wants to buy something to get his mom off of cigs. She smokes menthol. Which cooling agent should he buy? He says he wants more of a mint, and he heard that menthol was bad. Menthol isn't bad. It's just menthol. Like I happen to like menthol quite a bit, but I've tried, and you can't get over the fact that it tastes vaguely minty. But with that said, I think if you're coming off of cigarettes and you want something like some really aggressive cooling, menthol really isn't sort of a bad avenue to go down. A lot of the other cooling agents, like your Cooladas and WS-23s and stuff, while they have a more neutral taste, they don't have quite the cooling like punch that menthol does. Like menthol will punch you just straight with cooling, which is kind of cool.
You like the mint mix too, right?
Yeah, I like mixed mint. The Inawera mints are great, like Vlad's saying here. Their straight mint is a really solid, like green mint flavor, sort of closer to a herbal spearmint. The mixed mint has quite a bit of peppermint in it, but it's nice and smooth. It has enough, like, sort of more of a spearmint thing to avoid tasting like peppermint candy. I really like their natural mint. Is probably my absolute favorite, just straight mint.
I liked the peppermint from Flavora too. Their new peppermint. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, if she wants the throat hit and she likes menthol, though, by all means, I mean, just go straight for menthol. You can pick up menthol fairly cheap, and I really like Flavora's cool menthol, but it's a little bit on the expensive side. Just straight menthol will give her like a nice throat hit, and it translates really well into those like kind of smaller all-in-one things too, like the Joy Tech. So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid of menthol. Just don't expect it to taste like anything but mint, basically. Does great stuff with throat hit though.
She needs that throat hit. That's what Rory's laughing at. Yeah, what about, okay, so when you smoke a menthol cigarette, are you experiencing a tobacco flavor note, or are you just completely killing the tobacco flavor with the intense menthol of that cigarette? You and I were both menthol smokers. So
yeah.
In your memory, did you have a tobacco flavor coming with the menthol, or is it just menthol all day?
It kind of depended on the brand. I would occasionally pick up a pack of Newports, and that would definitely have like a stronger like menthol forward bite with a little bit of tobacco at the black end. But I also smoked a lot of the American Spirit full flavor menthols, and that was a little bit more balanced. The menthol does sort of kind of open up just with that straight menthol throat hit that kind of makes the actual tobacco notes around it a little bit more pleasant for me, at least is what I remember. It's been a couple years at this point, I guess.
Do you have a recommended tobacco that you would pair with menthol that would be close to like the green American Spirits?
It sounds completely unoriginal, but I don't know, like Flavora's native tobacco. That wouldn't be a bad one. I'd stay away from Burley or anything that had too much of like a chocolatey note, and instead go for something that maybe even was a little bit dirtier, like the native or like the Kentucky blend or Inawera. In Aware, I don't have a ton of experience with their tobaccos outside of their 4-pipe line, but I will say their black for pipe does work pretty well with menthol, but it's definitely more of like a pipe kind of vibe.
Yeah, a fun little, you know, I want to call it gossip, but secret thing is that Inaware consistently tries to bootleg flavor art flavors, and they have like a whole line, which is basically like rip-offs of flavor art. And I had asked Sean years ago, like, what's the deal? And he's like, yeah, they basically knock off the flavor, or they try to reverse engineer the flavor art. And it's like a special line that if you go to Inaware's site, you can kind of see how they I think it's their yellow labels. So like all their yellow, there's like originals and then bootlegs, which are just straight up flavor art copies. So it's interesting to dig into and kind of figure out.
So we did have a couple more quick menthol questions because I feel like I can rant about that a little bit. So in terms of brand, if you do want to splash out for it, Flavora's Cool Menthol, I would say is worth it if you're into menthol. I think it's a nice, smooth menthol that's fairly potent. The price point's a little bit weird if you're looking at it just as another flavor, but it's tends to hit harder for me than like 10% menthol that you'll get from other places. But if you don't want to go the cool menthol route, pretty much everything after that should be pretty interchangeable. If you do get the crystals, then it's actually super easy to dissolve them in PG. You just do it by weight, make a dilution by weight, heat it up just a little bit, shake the fuck out of it. Those crystals should dissolve for you.
Hey Adam, we mentioned one of your recipes in the beginning of the show, the waffle we talked about. I know you're just joining now, but we gave you a shout out, featured that. And then don't sleep on that Vlad free recipe right there, folks. He's a ELR top mixer, giving away free stuff in the chat. Only for
definitely listening to him.
You know, I had to work a while to find a tobacco I liked because I started with the flavor art, and my experiences with tobacco in vaping were always that licorice note, or too spicy, too much spice to it, I guess you could call it. And then really once I got a hold of Hangson tobaccos, I was like, okay, this is what I was looking for. And then now that gap's filled a little better with Flavora and all their tobacco offerings. But before it was, you know, everyone would rave about like Desert Ship. And I just, those aren't, it's not what I think of when I think of tobacco. I mean, so everyone has their own kind of opinion on it, I guess, of what they think of with tobacco. But for me, I tended to lean more of like a light wrapper cigar instead of a dark wrapper, basically. And if you smoke cigars and you were more into the dark wrappers, you'll tend to probably like to find more spicy tobacco blends. And then if you were the light wrappers, you probably enjoy, you know, the lighter tobaccos. Hangson Red Mix is awesome, way better than the AM4A Inawera. And then they're both supposed to be like Marlboro copies, I believe. And then they have one that's just called Tobacco Blend. And like I use that all like I had a 30 ml bottle of that and just went through it all, making different good tobaccos. And then I swear, Tab Blended by Hangson it has Pepperidge Farm pretzel notes. Like when I smell it, it gives me the exact Pepperidge Farm pretzel bag smell. So if you're trying to build a pretzel, I recommend that.
So we did have another question from the chat about shisha, the Inaware shisha flavor lines. said asking if they're made to be single flavors for shisha pipes. Yeah, as far as I can tell, they're just like single flavor, like big, bright, single flavor versions of whatever it says on the bottle. Some people claim that they can taste a tobacco note in them. They're either wrong or I'm just not tasting it. But in general, they're just like big, bright, like sort of single flavors that I would assume are for mixing with actual shisha.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I used to smoke hookahs a bunch. I lived out in Los Angeles and went to Southern California for like a film summer program. And literally, like every third house, there's people with a hookah pipe out front. So hookah is just huge in Los Angeles. And then if you've ever found yourself in a seedy hookah bar after 2 a.m., the strawberry shisha is just like a strawberry hookah. So people use it as a real strawberry, but it's, to me, it's not. I wouldn't call that a strawberry. I would call it a hookah strawberry, because when you've had that shisha tobacco, that's the strawberry flavor I mean, it tastes exactly like hookah. And if you like it, you probably like smoking a hookah too, you know. And if you've never tried it, I haven't got into the other ones that they have, like the shisha punch, and but those are kind of, it's got a weird side note to it that you can kind of overdo on yourself or you'll get sick of it. But like, I like it, you know. It's just it's definitely, I wouldn't call it see, there's a spectrum. You have this whole spectrum of what someone thinks of a strawberry, right? And that's why you had people that were like, oh, I don't taste the juicy. You have people that are like, I can't taste the strawberry. There's a spectrum of strawberry. And I was watching this show on Netflix. I can't think of the name. It's on e-juice makers. I did a post for it, and it's about flavor science, and they talk about strawberry. Strawberry has like a chemical in it that makes you think it's sweeter than the amount of sugar that's in it. So when you're dealing with a real strawberry, there's some serious science going on of flavor perception that's kind of tricking your brain. So now you're over here with flavors and you're trying to create that similar experience. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people are like, I can't taste the strawberry. It's because you don't have enough sugar in it, because that's what you want, is the sweetness. You're not like, the strawberry note is like maybe a third of the strawberry, and then the rest is sugar. So if you're doing sweetener free and you're not getting that note, that's probably what you're really actually looking for, is just more sweetener, because the strawberry, it's able to even intensify the amount of sugars that are in it even more so. So that was interesting to see. And then there's another article I put up on there. If you haven't liked the e-juice makers Facebook page, I post articles there. They're also on the website. And then we have the Mixlife group that is like, it's low key, and it's usually people that we know or have a friend in common, or you're in all the groups that we're in. But still, because I'm not trying to make like a steal the recipes group. It's more for like all you guys to be able to talk about important stuff, share your recipes, things like that. But the other article said your taste of smell changes throughout the day, right? And how that's relevant to you guys as vapors is your sense of smell has a huge part of why you can taste things, right? So when you get cold, sick, you're like, oh, I can't taste the flavor. That's because you're cutting off your sense of smell. And then there's even another way to like blow out, when you blow out a vape, where you kind of like blow it out your nose and your mouth. And when you do that, you kind of get a better flavor profile of stuff that you're tasting too. because you're using your nose. And the reason I know about it is because my mom has had bad allergies throughout her life, and her sense of smell is extremely, like, barely anything, if nothing, most of the time. And because of that, she can't taste food. So, like, doesn't know if it tastes great or tastes awful. So that's how I learned that, like, okay, scent has a big part to do with how things taste to you. And that's why, so that article is relevant, is because as your palate's changing through the day, about how things taste, because if your scent of smell's changing. So that was interesting. Some interesting science stuff. Yeah, strawberry's hard.
I was going to say, I'm actually kind of surprised we made it all the way to an hour. This is great.
We mentally are only prepared for 30 minutes, folks. So we really appreciate you helping us get through the hour. Oh, and when you're using okay, so Capella Super Sweet has a bunch of junk in it that you probably don't want to vape. Flavor West seems to be the best balanced, straight up the middle sweetener at like 10%. Super Sweet would be like 20%. Flavor West would be 10, and then Flavor Art is like 5, I think. But then Flavor Art has maltol in it, which I've yet to be proven wrong on it, but I believe it has the same effects of ethyl maltol and does some reduction on the high notes. So that's my non-scientific theory, is that you end up with a more balanced juice if you use the sweetener. So maybe some scientific person wants to shoot me down, but that's why I use Flavor Apprentice sweetener. But yeah, Cincinnati, you probably want to use Flavor West sweetener and then just cut it by. So you probably would, so cut it so you use a little more than half of what you would use Super Sweet, and see if you don't get a better juice, because you're adding different little chemicals and things in there.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily opposed to sucralose. I mean, it's not my thing per se, but I do like Flavor West sweetener, which is just straight sucralose as opposed to Cap Super Sweet. I don't know. Super Sweet just tastes weird to me.
Shout out to Vlad dropping more cool stuff. Shisha Punch with some black tea. Could go Flavor Art black tea. And then Shisha Orange and a little Flavora tobacco. That's a cool vape right there. Cool. Very cool. Do we hit the time? Oh yeah, we're over. We're already at 4 o'clock, folks. Don't forget to watch Noted tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. You can find everything up in the Mixlife app. Mixlife app is in your iOS, Apple, if you got Apple, or it's in your Android store. It's only $1. Google and Apple take about 75% of that dollar. But we have the app running for your enjoyment, and then we make sure to add all the videos from all our shows. Concrete River's flavor notes are in there. Every Mixlife Noted shows are there. Jennifer Jarvis's shows are there, and then other cool videos. Shows tonight. There is I don't know the name, DIY Mixers Crew, something like that. Those guys go on, and they do cool stuff. David Haney and those guys. So thanks for watching, guys. Happy Halloween to you. Stay out of trouble, and we will catch you same bat time, same bat channel next week. Thank you, Concrete River, for all you do and your magnificent flavor notes. And orange.
Magnificent mustache, apparently.
No, nobody eats an orange like Concrete River, folks. Nobody. Mixlife 33. Have a good one.